Short DJT is probably my better ideas. And then short 𝗬𝗏 obviously is still there. Yeah, I'm not sure the FTX is going to do a great job with that clawback, but Binance had no reason to know at the time they received the funds that it was a fraud. So I have to look at the ELF earnings. Like I said, earnings season. When earnings season comes and goes, it's very, very hard to process all of it at once as a single individual. HUMA, of course, I think is still one of the best shorts there is. SLS is a weird one because they tend to lie a lot. So they said they'd have their interim analysis, but they also have not reported anything. A little bit odd. I think 𝗕𝗏𝗃 is coming very soon. I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong on that, but I think 𝗕𝗏𝗃's results are coming. Yeah, I don't know. They just seem like they have been consistently putting out timelines that are not true. I don't know, lie is a strong word, obviously, but, you know, I'm using that a little bit loosely. SMCI did great, yeah. I don't know. On bonds and inflation and stuff like that, there's only so much my small head can take. You need Yeezy season approaching. Jojo, if you listen to the conference call, they said they're cleaning the database and that they have their primary endpoint set with FDA, so hey, it doesn't take that long to clean the database. It's not that big of a trial either. 900 patients. They should be done now, basically. Oh yeah, long AstraZeneca is my other big pick. I do not like Cardiff. PE ratio. Yes, I look at PE ratios sometimes. It's kind of complicated how to actually parse them, because they can be extremely misleading and they're kind of poor tools. They're not great tools for rookie investors because they don't necessarily understand how to use them. So I recommend avoiding them. But we tend not to model the balance sheet because at the end of the day, the balance sheet is very backward looking. The only thing we really care about is how much cash does the company have. AP, AR, CapEx, we care a little bit, but it's mostly a exercise focused on income statement, which is very similar to the cash flow statement. Yeah, Truth Social is kind of a zero. They haven't been able to get any revenue. It's very hard for small websites to get ad revenue. Highbridge did the pipe. They do pipes sometimes of these small caps. So EVO, our Swedish friend, we still don't have Swedish stocks, so I have to go to our rival. It hasn't changed much. I wouldn't call it ridiculous price either. Just because it's up, it's ridiculous. It bounced on the earnings, then came right back down. So I don't know, maybe. My GPU spun up for Yahoo Finance. That's pretty funny. I mean, Truth Social is basically not worth anything. You also have to consider that, I hate to say this, but the president is not young. Discounted cash flow is a, shut up, kitty, is a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, infinite, basically, value asset, valuing the cash flow's infinite basis. Trump's not going to be truthing for that much longer. At some point, God forbid, hopefully it's as long as possible, but at some point he might pass away. And what's Truth Social then? Twitter is bigger than Musk. San Iona, that does sound interesting. I have not looked at that one though. Kitty has made an appearance. I don't think Musk could buy it because it's worth, you could buy it for $1. You can't buy it for $35. Could he merge X with DJT? Maybe. But the problem there is that the merger, would have to value Twitter at 200 billion or something for it to be fair. So still have the same impact. Sava's cleaning the database. They're very close to doing the primary analysis. Yeah, I do think government, Vivek just said, we need a band of revolutionaries to run government. I think that's true. It doesn't mean I want to do that. I never did. I just wanted to be left alone. To get into biotech, I think there's you have to understand clinical trials, pharmacokinetics, and at least, genetics. So 3 textbooks on those and you'll be fine. No, I don't think Elon will be forced to buy DJT. He might be able to do a partnership or help him or whatever, but I don't think it's gonna work out for DJT. They're competitors. You'd get sued for helping your competitor. You have a duty to your shareholders. I don't think Trump cares that much about it either. He's got a politician running it too, which is really bizarre. Yeah, it's a really good short, DJT. Really, really good short. It was 5 recently, like it'll go back. Trump's just not old enough for... Trump's too old for it to really make sense. In 5 years, is he going to be truthing? What happens after the presidency? The cash flow has to... There is no cash flow, first of all, but... Now, obviously, as they say sometimes on Wall Street, the stock's not trading on cash flow. The stock's trading on something else. Now, unfortunately, all things will eventually trade on cash flow. So it is not possible to avoid that. So the only question is, can you sit there and wait, or are you playing a game of chicken with other traders who are hoping that they can last longer than you can in the trade? So you sort of just have to size it accordingly, I think. If you size it too big, you're basically saying, I'm going to win this poker game. And you may not win it. But, who is the buyer of DJT? It's certainly not institutional investors. So it's retail investors that, theoretically, they've already had their money in there. And, it's hard for me to see them stay interested in it, given, there's nothing really to look forward to. The biggest catalyst for them of all time has already happened. There's nothing left. There's no more catalyst. Incidentally, I was going to help Barron integrate crypto with DJT, and that was going to be kind of interesting, but never happened. Haven't looked too closely at ASML. Why am I doing this by hand? Trevor P. Well, Trevor, converting PDF documents to readable text files for machine learning programs to then process is actually very difficult. They rarely do it precisely. In fact, if you know anything about Wall Street, this is how it's done. It's just correct getting tabular data correctly. It's very, very hard. Nobody's going to miss the FTC anyway. Just be a slightly new era for government. I don't think he can eliminate all federal agencies anyway. It'll be a little smaller, but it's not going to be some really radical reshaping. There's the old saying, don't become what you hate. And a lot of people tend to do that. It would not be impossible for Trump and his guys to become the deep state. I think AstraZeneca is going to bounce back now. ChatGPT is great. It's just not going to completely do that conversion itself. I'm not even sure you can put PDFs in ChatGPT. Wow, Tesla's up on nothing. It's probably going to all come crashing down today. Tesla, DJT, the Trump trade. And again, I like Trump. There's nothing wrong with Trump. This is just a financial thing. It should mean revert, but when will it mean revert, and by how much, and things like that, There's no certainty in investing. If there was, I don't think there's much meme power in DJT. It's very large. These things tend to fall in on themselves. I certainly understand it could go up more. No reason why it can't go up more. It can. But it also dropped 20% the other day. So it's very far from invincible. Yeah, he might say, like, I didn't want to sell. They forced me to sell. I didn't want to sell off $1 billion worth. They made me do it. I said, no, don't do it. They said, sir, we have to do it. SMCI down 6%. Yeah, at the right price, SMCI is a pretty good long, and I think this is that price. I don't know mining stocks. That's one space I can truly say I've never looked at, not even once. I've looked at almost everything else once, but I've literally never looked at mining once. Why would SMCI go to zero? They have $10 billion in revenue. They have more than $10 billion in revenue, actually. Somebody's buying their product. I don't think GLPs will have much lower pricing, no. Best way to learn finance is non-finance student. If you're very intellectual, look at 𝗕𝗏𝗰𝗍𝗀. If you're less intellectual, you can look at my videos. I like quantum computing. I think it's very interesting. I do think it's doable. IonQ's had a big run. I'm not, you know. 𝗕𝗏𝗃 just toured. It was their biggest tour ever. So people really miss the band. I don't know if I fully believe in quantum computing yet. But I think it's fundamentally possible just because it's simply just physics. Unlock your inner potential. I don't know if SpaceX will do an IPO. Probably hard to compete with SpaceX. But, you know, it's smart for people to try. These European cash flow statement is fairly humorous. It's pretty much the same as America. I started investing when I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13. Maybe a little older. Yeah, I really like the stock market. I don't know, Barron stories. I mean, a lot of those are private that I just can't repeat, but he was a good kid. He's a good kid. I say kid, I mean, he's a good young man. I think it's got to be a little bit hard to be him, but I wish him the best. I hope he does great things. Yeah, his dad, I will say this. I mean, I know his dad loves him quite a lot. Just the time that I spent with him, his father would call him all the time. He really loves his son. Even when his father was sick, you know, on the campaign trail, you know, still calling to catch up with him. Yeah, I mean, that's not really investing, buying the S&P every month. I mean, it certainly is an investment in America. You're buying the biggest American companies, and that's fine. But I would call that saving more than investing, or attempting to save at least. But it's okay to gamble on America. You live here. If you live here, you might as well. American dream, the American process. Pretty good. Seems like a pretty good bet now with Trump. Well, even if whether you're living in America or not, buying the S&P 500 is a bet on America. Tesla short sellers are getting hammered. Yeah, not sure why you would short Tesla. This is my YOLO portfolio, 3 stocks. Short, long, short. That's it. Short, long, short. It doesn't matter how it's done. Options, stocks. You have long exposure, you got short exposure. Did not meet primary endpoint. Spaghetti-o. That's good for Bristol Myers. Oof. That's nasty result. Abbvie just wasted $8 billion. Same problem with Neurocrine. So this is, I guess, bullish for Neurocrine a little bit. Shut up, Getty. Oh, shut up. There's an explanation for what happened. How did placebo beat the drug arm in 𝗕𝗏𝗃-2? The first trial looks a little more normal in 𝗕𝗏𝗃-1, but 𝗕𝗏𝗃-2 looks like just a disaster. It's so funny. I mean, you can. This is how neuroscience works. You know, you can design the perfect drug, have one of the big pharmas pay $8 billion for it. I don't know how anybody thinks 𝗕𝗏 is going to work. Placebo is the final boss. I don't think Abbvie sells estrogen at all, if I'm not mistaken. They mostly sell autoimmune drugs, a couple cancer drugs. We don't do phone alerts yet. Wow, Abbvie's down 10%? That's an overreaction. That's a big overreaction. Yeah, I would buy Abbvie right here. 177. Shkreli told you so. ABBV, yes, 174. Buy. Their acquisition, they bought a company called Cerevel for $8 billion, and basically their acquisition is going to be a write-off at this point. So that's not crazy. The stock is trading like there's a much bigger problem. You know, they're going to need to replenish their pipeline and everything, but it's a really well-run company. It's like arguably the best-run big pharma. So hopefully you bought at 177 or even better at 175 or lower. But I think it'll be back to 180s, you know, very shortly. But, you know, it's trading. It's not a guarantee. It's about a 55% win rate. Don't ever think that a trade idea is a sure thing. Never is. Trades are trades. They're guesses. They're educated guesses. Bristol's up 12%. Insane. That one may be less of an overreaction because you have to go through Bristol now for that new schizophrenia drug. It's going to be a huge market. But yeah, man, Bristol. Oof, that's crazy, Islanders. Abbvie's down because of their drug failure. Bristol's up because of Abbvie's drug failure. This is a big chase to make the next new huge schizophrenia drug. Neurocrine failed too. Bristol's going to be selling all this by themselves. Billions and billions of dollars for schizophrenics. We're going to treat them, and we're going to charge them. And who's going to pay for it? Mexico. Bristol Myers is selling 𝗕𝗏𝗰, which now they will not have a competitor to, theoretically. I'm not sure it's that great for Bristol, so I agree with you to fade both moves. Buy Abbvie, short Bristol. Abbvie, we're now positive. Make sure you subscribe to 𝗕𝗍𝗃 if you did, because you now bought your subscription price times 5 times 10 times over. The shower is a great place to read annual reports. We know this. If you have to wait until 9:30, you need a new broker. I mean, people were very hopeful for this Abbvie drug, but the Abbvie failure definitely shows you why you got to be very careful. Abbvie's really good at what they do, and they love taking risks, which is great. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't, but the fact that they failed, very well constructed drug, is not good for Saba. The drugs have nothing to do with each other, but Obama ate my KFC. So your is, let me help you out here. YOUR. So this is a possessive, okay? So it means that you possess something. Like, for example, your brain. Your brain is very small. Okay? You have to learn this one point in your life. It's important. Okay? This is a contraction. Your is 2 words. And we just do this little apostrophe instead of the A that's supposed to be here in the space. So this is really just you are. Okay? So like, you are an idiot. If it was me talking, or someone was talking about me, it'd be you are a genius. That's the alpha. 3rd grade alpha. I got out of SMCI, but it looks like it's good to get back in. It's a very volatile stock. It's nice for traders. I got out on Friday. It was up a lot, but I was short it, then long it, then short it. No, wait, short it, then long it. AstraZeneca and Saba. Those are my 3 core positions. I have this trader account, which is for the stream, and that's my like entertainment account, and it's just a YOLO account. I really like AstraZeneca. Naval's great. He's a tremendous investor. How does he do what he does? I don't know. It's not my area, VC investing, but he's obviously incredible at it. Can't deny that. What lawsuits are facing Pfizer? I'm holding AstraZeneca for a good $5, $10 rebound. Or 1 month, whatever comes first. That doesn't sound like that's a significant lawsuit. Carvana didn't look like a great short. Everyone likes the short, but Bitcoin's going to keep going up. Probably hits 100K. Short Kava, short cassava, short Carvana. That's the moves. All the C, S, A, V, A. Any stock with those letters, it's a wrap. That's funny on HIMS. They can't make tirzepatide. They're not allowed to. That's so crazy. Just keep talking on Twitter and stuff like that, Nexus. You got to get noticed for your intelligence. It's a free marketplace of ideas, just like the stock market. If you say smart, you'll be treated accordingly. And when somebody messages you and they say, hey, well, what do you do? Where do you work? And you say, oh, I'm actually still in high school. They'll say, wow, that's crazy. I thought you were a professional. That's how you make your network. Nobody updates my Wikipedia page. A bunch of haters. The haters. I ended up breaking even-ish on the Lions game, but I was buying Lions. So I traded this on Polymarket, which was really awesome. I never sports bet on Polymarket. I was buying the Lions during the game, and they were losing, tanking. And then I went really hard on the Texans because it seemed like Goff had thrown 5 interceptions. They'd stopped them a number of times before, and the Lions came through. Tesla's up for momentum, just momentum on Trump. Ooh, SMCI is getting a decent price, actually. Although it does seem to be like just an anchor is attached to this stock. It could be a capitulation. Could be a decent capitulation. Long. Yeah, it's barely had upticks. I got out on like Friday. I was very lucky. This was a really rough long for a while, and it had a nice little 2-day pop. I just closed it. It's been a rough long. I think there's a way to short Tesla and be okay. It's a very tough short. You got to be very careful. But for a trade, it could work. Yeah, it's the momentum is a bit silly. It will mean revert. Am I bullish on shorting HUMA? That's a very weird way to put it. I'm bearish on HUMA. I think you should short HUMA. I am still bullish on Viking. VKTX, not VTKX. Quantum computing, it's still not clear if true quantum computing is even possible, but it should be possible. Prediction markets are just an idea that's been around for 25 years. I mean, I used to trade prediction markets 20 years ago in trade sports. Portfolio out. I got this YOLO positions on these 3 stocks, as I mentioned. Pretty YOLO-ish, YOLO heavy. Short stock, long call to get maximum leverage. HUMA is a PDUFA date. It's not a result. It's a PDUFA, which is the FDA decides on approval or failure. Yeah, the P&L is just all leverage to 3 stocks. Massively levered. We'll try to get this portfolio to $1 million by year end. How about that? That's good entertainment. Remember, Abbvie was just up a bunch. So the fact that it's down is a reversal of like Friday or Thursday's move. And a little extra. I do think it'll be a good long, but it's not like it's gonna. This is a big cap pharma stock, right? You're playing for a couple bucks. 𝗕𝗏𝗃 just isn't it. If you have tons of costs, trading for a living is very hard. You live with your parents, you may be able to build up a little stack. Sava said by year end, but I think it comes a little sooner, like late November maybe. Could be next week. Simply cannot squeeze Shkreli. You don't understand. Ooh, DJT almost red. It's almost red. I think they stopped selling the album because it was so embarrassing. I think the only people that bought any were themselves. They sold $350,000 of the album. They paid $4.5 million for. They're doing a $4 million lawsuit against me. It's $8.5 million on $300K revenue. Businessing is hard. We business. That's crypto for you. This is 𝗕𝗲𝗍𝗪. We business good. Buy album for $4.5 million. Sell copies for $300,000. Sue Shkreli, spending $4 million in the process. The worst album ever recorded. Think I like Amgen. I'm not that convinced. Yeah, Sava short, perfect time. Agree, Omar. Very wise observation there. Feels the market's pretty heavy. I think we're going to get a big sell-off. There's a lot of nice action in certain stocks, though. Well, the thing about SMCI is they have real value. It's a very serious company. They just did a whole bunch of chips for XAI. I wouldn't be shorting Bitcoin anytime soon. I'm not too focused on Lumen. It's a telecom company. It's not really my understanding. Wow, look at HIMS. HIMS up 23%. Hood up 12%. Notice the relative weakness in our 2 shorts here. They're really sucking wind. I'm not short Hood. What are you talking about? I recommended Hood a while back. I understand the idea behind Serpent. I just don't know. Hemophilia is fairly well. Hemophilia has a lot of great drugs already. There's 𝗕𝗏546 and 𝗕𝗏545. Oh, that was 𝗕𝗏𝗰𝗪𝗏. That never got approved. That might be a good drug to ask AstraZeneca for.